The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Okay, so what you just saw, and the reason I showed you how to do that is, I heard there was poor quality on the screen. It's hard to do it through a webinar. So, all you have to do is, if you want to watch it after this call, just go back and Google Maria Giordano Nightline, and it'll be the first thing that pops up. Now, my guest tonight is Maria and her husband Gary, and they're going to be talking to you tonight. And also, the reason that I have decided to hook up with Maria is because many of you have been with me for a long time, and some are very successful and some are not as successful. Now, I consider Maria and Gary to be some of the most successful students I have because they did like 28 deals in 3 years. So they've got something about them that I think could be very valuable to you. So I really want you to, ask questions to them, talk to them, do whatever you want. They're going to share some of their expertise with you, and they've really done good. These are like superstars, and so you've got them right here at your beck and call for the next 55 minutes or so. So, Gary, Maria, are you there?
We are. Thank you so much, Tony, for such an awesome introduction.
Yeah, couldn't have done it better myself.
Okay, all right. Well, how's the weather out there in Phoenix today?
It's always like sunny here. Very rarely do we have anything other than the sun, so I can't complain.
Yeah.
Yeah. Perfect winter, 70 degrees and sunny.
Yeah, so now, folks, the reason I want to do this call tonight is to give you a chance to get to know Gary and Maria and maybe to ask them some questions. So I'm going to be monitoring the questions and repeating with them. But I just also want you to know that Maria and Gary and I are doing a 3-day training in Atlanta where we're going to take you out in the field. Well, we're going to give you a classroom all day the first day, and then the second day we're going to take you out in the field. Now, from watching that video you saw, you can clearly see that Maria has a very good talent for designing the interiors of homes. I mean, those are some of the most beautiful interiors I've ever seen. Now, you know the kind of properties that we all buy in the hidden market. They look like crap, a lot of them. And she can take them and make them look absolutely beautiful and command top dollar for those. So she has expertise in that, but also, Maria, tell us a little more about what kind of expertise you could be teaching these folks.
Sure. Well, when we got started, as you know, Tony, and like I think most of your students can probably relate to this, the biggest issue was money. And more importantly is when we started looking at how other businesses run and how they become scalable, it's the power of using other people's money. And like so many other investors out there, we really didn't have our own money to get started. So we became very, very good at both creative negotiations, so negotiating with sellers and doing creative strategies, be it seller finance. You can even do that for your rehabs where they will hold it with no payments for 6 months. We got very good at doing subject twos for our buy and holds. In fact, we don't own any rental properties that we had to pay 100% cash for. And because our strategy is really, if you have to put out a lot of money, it better be, a fix and flip. And so we got really good at negotiating on terms with sellers. And then with that, we also, because it takes a lot of money to buy, fix, and flip the properties, we got really good at getting other investors to give us their money. But we took it one step further in that, just like your mutual fund guys, your investment guys, stockbrokers, all those, you have to pay them to use your money. So Gary came up with a great idea. Why don't we charge other people to use their money as a fee, and then we'll give them a percentage of the profits. So that's really how we were able to scale our business so quickly.
Yeah. Well, I remember you sending me emails that would tell me that sometimes you'd have other investors giving you money up front because they wanted to be in on your deals. You see, I've always told people that, if you get really good at finding deals, the money comes out of the woodwork. And I remember that people, you were always telling me that people were always wanting to back you and put up money for you and help you find money and stuff. So yes, that's going to be something that could be very valuable for these folks on the call tonight, and to perhaps attend this upcoming seminar. Now, I just want to, just show someone that you should be seeing an email from me that looks like this. When you open it, it says, "Life is really simple, but men insist on making it complicated," and that was by Confucius, and it's a beautiful sunset. But then you scroll down, and it's going to talk to you about our 3-day event that we're putting on March 3rd, 4th, and 5th in Atlanta, Georgia. So I want you to get used to this email, because this would be how you would register for that event. You would click right here, and that's how you would register. And it tells all about it, so we're not going to read it tonight, but just a quick thing. It says that we're going to be taking you out for an entire day to find hidden market properties, motivated sellers, and then we're and Maria and Gary will be with me, so that when we're walking through houses that may need work, they can give you their expertise there, and then in the classroom show you how they're able to command other people's money. As a matter of fact, I just want to point out the first question we got was, Philip wants to know, have you been a lender to her? Asking if I have been the one that's been lending you money. And the answer is no. She's always, because she's so good at finding deals, then people come to her. And but they're going to be teaching you every kind of way to generate money. As a matter of fact, a lot of the is it correct to say, Maria, that a lot of the money that you use to rehab houses the way you do is usually other people's money? Is that correct?
It's almost 100%. Even when I do now ground up construction or spec builds, most of that is even other investor money.
Yeah. Well, that's great. So, a lot of the people on the call tonight, they just don't believe it. See, they won't make offers sometimes. They have a fear of making offers because they don't know where the money's coming from, and they feel guilty offering to buy someone's house, knowing they don't have the money. Now, I always have taught them that you're not committed to buy anything until all your contingencies are met. So you can make a written offer, but the contingencies have to be met. So if I have a fear of not having the money when I make the offer, then I put a clause in there that says this offer is subject to financing, or me being able to obtain proper financing, or financing approved by me. Okay, so uh, you know that's what we've got to do, is we've got to make offers with contingencies. And so I'm just sort of looking through questions to see if folks, this is a great time to ask questions to these these folks while they're on the call. Now, Maria, can you tell us anything else that let's tell them a little bit more about what they're going to learn the weekend of March 3rd through the 5th. What would you say to them to make them feel that it's well worth their time and well worth the cost of traveling to Atlanta?
Well, I think some of the biggest thing you just hit on is, one, we're going to take them out into the field and where they can make the offers. But two, now we're going to take it one step further and make them comfortable knowing that, look, you're going to have a system together that you can get the financing you need using other people's money. We're going to teach them how to put that together, how to approach other people and say, hey, I have this property. This is the numbers, because honestly, people don't care really about what a property needs. They want to know the numbers. In fact, when you give them too much information on how to stress the property to an investor, I learned this the hard way, it scares them off more than it makes them interested. What makes the property sexy is the numbers and the potential profit they can have. So we're definitely going to go over that, but also we're going to talk about the negotiations, because 90% of people don't concentrate enough on how they're negotiating with either a seller or with somebody they want to get used for financing their fix and flip or whatever the property is. And I think that's really important, that's the missing piece for many people. And I know that personally, when I got started, in fact, Gary wanted to get started about 2 or 3 years earlier than what we actually got started. But my fear was not having that money. So I went back to school and got another degree because I was so afraid of, oh my gosh, what if I make these offers and I don't have the money to follow through? And it wasn't really until Gary developed our system of, having investors pay us, because then they take us seriously, and they know that, and they can see that we're running it as a business. And by charging them a fee to use their money, because they're already used to doing that, it helped us get more investors. And pretty soon, we didn't have enough properties for the number of people that wanted to give us money, which is a really nice problem to have. And that's what we're going to show, people at the event in Atlanta, is exactly step by step how we did that. How we took it from structuring our offer with the seller to sending it out to other investors to fund the deal, how we approach those investors, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, see, that's powerful stuff. Folks, I've often told you that you've always got to hang with the winners. And this event that Maria and Gary and I are putting on is where you'll be hanging with the winners for 3 days. And it's so vital to people's success to be around people and learn things from. If you learned one little technique from Maria that weekend, it could change your financial future forever. And but how my trainings are, is when we do this weekend, it is going to be so powerful. Now, I had one question a couple of weeks ago where someone said, well, why do I need to listen to Maria when I'm learning from you? And I said, because she has taken it to the maximum. And plus, if I'm teaching and Maria is teaching and Gary is teaching, that's like having 10 batteries in your flashlight instead of 2, and that's going to make your light shine much brighter. It's just power. It's combined knowledge, different strategies. In the audience, we're going to have men and women. Maria's a woman, and I'm a guy. So some of you are going to relate to Maria more than you might me, or relate to Gary more than me, because Gary was a pilot or a co-pilot on C-130s in the military, Gary? What did you used to do?
The C-130 Navigator.
Yeah, a navigator on military aircraft, and then you became a doctor, right? So you're a doctor today.
Right.
So every student has a teacher that just seems to connect with them. So with three powerful forces in that event that weekend, it's just going to catapult you beyond your wildest dreams. Because Maria and Gary are like me. They just pour out their knowledge. They, when you get very successful like that, you just want to turn around and help the next person in line. And that's what we're good at. And, we're bringing this event to you at a very minimal cost. What's the cost of it, Maria? I forgot. If they clicked on register now, what would be the cost of that?
Well, if they click by midnight tonight, they get $100 off. So it's $197 for the 3 days.
$197. Now, some of the people on this call have paid up to $70,000 for training, and they haven't got a deal yet. So for 197, with Maria and Gary's expertise and with my expertise, out in the field, holding your hand and teaching our hearts out, what more could you ask for? I mean, that is now the reason we are not charging a lot of money for this is because we understand you have to buy your airfare. You have to pay for your own lodging. Now, let me show you some little tricks. You know me, I've always tried to show you some money-saving tricks. So let's take a look at that, because I think it would be terrible for you not to come to this one-of-a-kind event because you're worried about how much it may cost for your airfare. So let me first show you things I do, because I travel a lot and I have to buy airline tickets all the time. And sometimes I have to buy them at the last minute. So let me give you an idea of some cost. So let's go to, say, Priceline, just to give you an idea. And let's pull this up. And let's click flights. And let's say you're coming from, say, Dallas Fort Worth to, say, Atlanta. And you're coming on, here it is. And you're departing, get rid of the panel over there, say February 2nd, coming in, say, Friday night, and you're leaving, March 2nd, and then you're leaving March 5th after the event is over. So let's get an idea of what the cost is. Also, I've got a couple of questions starting to come in, so I'll tell you about those questions in a minute, Maria. Now, look, this is like from nonstop from Dallas Fort Worth on Spirit Airlines is $126 round trip. Let's see what other airlines do. Delta wants $136. Now, like if you're coming from, say, Boston or somewhere else, it's going to be different. But I just want to give you an idea of how to shop for the best deals. And so there's Delta for $136. There's American Airlines, $136. There's here's one for $195, and that's on Virgin, Delta, American. And, but anyway, so now I usually fly American Airlines. So real quick, I just want to take you to American Airlines and show you, because I fly American a lot, and so I just don't want you to let something trivial stop you from coming to what I think is the most fabulous event of the decade. I mean, nobody teaches like Maria and I. I mean, nobody in the guru industry or the seminar industry or the investors club industry, nobody teaches like we do. It is going to be a powerful event. So, okay, so just to give you some ideas, and let's see what DFW to ATL. And another thing I'm using this as an example for is to give you an idea of the different prices each airline charges depending on what time you fly. So when I'm trying to fly somewhere, like it's 2:03 round trip if I fly at 6 a.m. in the morning, and it's 2:49 if I choose to go at 6:35 p.m. Friday night round trip from Dallas. And let's try something else. How about, say, from Phoenix? How about from Phoenix, Arizona? What if you were coming from Phoenix? Let's just get an idea of how to do that. Because, you know, it's always one little thing that can stop someone from, you know, reaching their goals or dreams. So here's an example, 367 from, you know, round trip. You can leave early in the morning. It goes to, you see how some flights are more, but it still leaves early in the morning. So you've got to learn how to look for the best price by going up and down. And even don't forget the show more button, and read those too. Okay. Now, also, I wanted to show you the hotel we're going to be doing this event in. And Maria, I'm going to go ahead and while I'm searching around, I'm going to give you guys some questions to answer.
Sure.
Melody and Jack, how you doing, Melody? They're from West Virginia, and they want to know, have you used Skip Tracer services to get homeowners' phone numbers?
Yeah, absolutely. I like to do things with spending as little money as possible. I was kind of brought up to be very frugal, and so one of the ways, or one of the techniques I use to find homeowners, believe it or not, is Facebook. Many people have their phone number on their Facebook account, and a lot of people don't have their Facebook accounts locked down, meaning other people outside their friends and families can see it. So if I have a property that I'm looking at, and for example, if it's in Atlanta and it's Jane Doe, I'll type in Jane Doe, Atlanta, Georgia, and see what comes up. And then many times I can filter it down, and a lot of times I'll get their phone numbers that way. The most profitable deal that I've gotten at that I ended up wholesaling was a property that Gary and I did a skip trace on a guy using People Finder, I believe, peoplefinder.com, I want to say. And it was a guy who was a pretty bad dude, didn't want anybody to find him. His house, another tip for you guys out there, what I also like to do when I go driving around and I look at distressed properties is, like most of you, I look at their tax records, but I really like going after properties that are going to be going to their third tax sale, not because I want to buy the participate in the tax auction, but because I want to go to the homeowner directly and, you know, say, hey, you're about to lose your house, can we negotiate a deal? And that was the case on this property. And I used People Finder, found a friend of the guy who we called, who then got in touch with the guy who called us up and said, hey, how would you find me? Kind of thing. Yeah, he was quite an interesting dude. The morning we closed on his property, he actually sign the documents, he parked around the block. Gary went in his military uniform to kind of make sure. I mean, you run into all sorts of characters, but on that wholesale deal, we had offers coming in when people, because like you show everybody, Tony, it was a property that was distressed. All the neighbors were sick and tired of it. It was killing their property values. And as soon as we got it under contract, the offers came pouring in. And we made over $60,000 as a wholesale fee on that property. It needed a ton of work done on it. We bought it for $34,000, Gary.
We gave him 29. We paid 5 in penalties.
Yeah, he had the back taxes, and also the city was leaning the property for it just being a mess.
Yeah, we spent 5,000. We spent 5,000 on architect's plans, and then a wholesaler or a broker offered us 110 for it. And he took 10, and we took the other 65.
Yeah.
That is just.
It just goes to show you got to track down these guys. You never know what you're gonna find.
The house had boarded up windows. It had no roof, no doors.
It was awful, but it was in a very nice part of town.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember you showing me a picture of that. Unbelievable.
I'll see a picture of it on.
Yeah, I'll make sure I include it and take everybody through that deal. I'll make myself a note to include that one. I don't always do, but that's a good one. Since somebody was asking about, if we skip trace, and that's one that we got off of that.
Yeah, it was a profitable wholesale.
Wow, that is great. Now, I've got a question here. Philip wants to know, can you describe your very first deal, how you felt, and the time frame?
Well, our very first deal, Tony, came from you, from a one-on-one that we did with you, where you took us driving for dollars, and looking for that hidden market. And we had sent a letter to a credit union that had a little regional bank, and they'd responded to us about a month later, I think, asking us if our offer was still good. And I was just like, oh my gosh, what do I do? I'm scared to death, because we didn't have the funds, and I was such a newbie. My father came from the commercial construction world, so I thought, shoot, I got to get a home inspection on this thing. Well, what do you think your home inspection is going to look at? Like, when the house is completely distressed, it also has tarps over the roof and everything else. Missing wiring, you name it. So I sent it to my father, who got on the next flight out to Phoenix to try and stop me. He was like, what did I raise? Are you crazy? Which my dad had also just retired too. So it actually became not only our first property, but the first property I was able to do with my father as kind of a daddy-daughter house, which was just, awesome. Yeah, it was awesome. And we learned about how to use IRA money, self-directed IRA money, also to fund deals, which is something we'll also go over.
Now, would you be able to teach a little bit of that during that 3-day weekend?
Absolutely, oh, yeah. Absolutely. We do almost all of our holds we do in IRAs, as well as the fix and flips. We like to get our investors who invest with us to use their self-directed IRAs. So we can definitely help people out with that.
Yeah. So.
So in that house, I made my entire year's salary as a nurse in 5 or 6 weeks.
Yeah.
I think it was less than 45 days.
Okay, folks, I just want to remind you what she just said. She was a nurse, and I always have several nurses on these training calls. I just seem to know a lot of nurses that come through that want to get into real estate. So here's someone who went from nurse to real estate investor, and so that can help you too. But anyway.
Yeah, I quit my 6 months after I quit my nursing job because I had so many properties going. And like your story, Tony, I wasn't coming into work either, and they were still paying me. Finally, I told them, look, I'm not going to be in there.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
you
it
were
took her 2 months
calling.
to quit. They wouldn't let her quit.
Say again, Gary?
So it took her 2 months to quit. She kept quitting, and they kept scheduling her.
Yeah, that's right, man. I mean, that's the way I guess the nursing thing is. They keep putting you on the schedule. But see, I remember when, I was not ready to quit my job, or I wasn't planning on quitting, but I was calling in sick so I could work on the rehabs because I had two rehabs going at the same time. So my job was getting in the way of my rehabs. So one day I got a call from Lockheed, and they said, "Listen, did someone die in your family or something?" I said, "No, why?" They said, "You haven't been to work in 12 days." I said, "Oh, I forgot." I kind of forgot that I was supposed to be at that job because, I mean, real
Yeah,
estate is a
people all
lot of
that money
fun.
uses other people's money. And yeah, she's married to a doctor, but we don't use our money.
Yeah,
Because when you use your money, then your ROI goes down, your return on investment. When you use
that's
other people's
true.
money, your ROI is infinite.
See, folks, now do you hear what he's saying? And you've heard me say a lot of times that I still use other people's money because you know why, folks? Because I'm good at finding deals. So everybody with money realizes that. So people are always saying, "Hey, Tony, would you use my money? Use my money." So the reason that we do that is because we get a higher return on investment. And that's what Gary was talking about. If you're making profit from money that you didn't invest, I mean, you didn't invest your own money and you're still making profit, that's what we call an infinite rate of return. And I don't know if you like Robert Kiyosaki or not, but that is one of the main things he talks about is an infinite rate of return. You cannot help but get wealthy if you're making an infinite rate of return.
And my wife and I have a belief that if you use your own money, it actually slows you down.
And you, could you elaborate on that?
Yeah, what I mean is like you only have a limited amount of money. You don't want to tie up all your reserves.
Yeah.
So if you use other people's money, that just allows you to do so many deals compared to if you just limited yourself to your own funds.
And not only that, folks, if you remember the video we showed at the beginning of this call, you can see that Gary and Maria have 5 beautiful kids, and they don't want to, you know, risk their money when they don't have to. That
Right.
way they can make their family secure. And I know a lot of, mothers and wives that, they're so afraid. Even my wife, I didn't get married till 19 years ago. And when I first got married, my wife was seeing me taking, 150,000 out of the bank to buy a piece of crap house, and she was freaking out because that money was her security. She was going, women are basically security driven people, and and
Mhm.
so she was freaking out, man. So she loves it when I use other people's money. So you're going to learn a lot about that in 3 days. And also, this Philip Fraser would like to know, could you tell him, he wants to know about your second deal.
Well, after that, we had several deals that came in at the
At
same
once.
time. I think my second deal was actually a house in Scottsdale. It's either my second or my third deal. And it stands out for me because it was a deal that I was using another investor, and people were hearing about the deals I was getting. So he handed me, he's this Russian guy, and he handed me a check for, I think it was about $165,000, right
Yeah.
about. But we didn't have any, I mean, no paperwork, no contract. And I'm going, oh my gosh, I need forms, I need this, I need that. And he's like, no, 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 don't worry, you do good. And I'm like, yeah, or what? You break my legs? I was like, what am I doing? People are handing me hundreds of thousands of dollars, and So since then, we use the right forms and all sorts of stuff, and all the paperwork. But it was a house that, again, it was distressed. We had to open up walls. Um, oh gosh, I'm trying
Put
to.
a header in that one.
Yeah,
Put an island in.
Yeah, we put a header, an island. I learned how to really make it a ugly backyard with an ugly, chain link fence. How best to, uh, cost effectively fix all that up, and so people can't see the backyard and make it all nice and we did it really nice.
Yeah, it had junky neighbors, and it had a disgusting alley in the back.
Yeah, and then we asked one of the neighbors whose property was a little bit of an eyesore if they would mind it if we sent our landscapers over to help them out and whatnot, and they loved that, and so they got free landscaping from us, and it helped our property look better.
Yeah,
and that's something you'll find is a lot of times when you talk to neighbors and they need some landscaping or a little help, they're more than willing to let you have your crew because, I mean, it's minimal money compared to the profits we make. Kind of do a little bit of landscaping or something to spruce it up. You'll also find that we did another property, which was probably about our third or fourth one, this one was, and again, driving around, we saw it, and Gary thought I was crazy on this property because it was in a not so nice area of town, but it wasn't a danger, I didn't feel, because I'd go there at night and I'd see little old people going down the street in their walker and whatnot, and there was gang activity further down. But the house next door was so bad with termites that we wondered how it would even be held up. But the homeowner went and put new windows in when she saw what we were doing to our property. Not sure how the windows stayed in
Yeah.
with all the termites, but it was quite interesting.
Yeah.
But all of those properties we used other people's money on.
Wow. Well, see, folks, you've got some people here that have done deal after deal. Maria and Gary, they were offered, after they were put on a show called Nightline for a real long segment on that show. Then they took portions of that show and showed it on Good Morning America. And then they were getting offered all these fix and flip opportunities on these TV shows, these fix and flip TV shows. And they've been offered speaking engagements. And so, they've been through the real deal, because a lot of those fix and flip shows, you're not getting the full deal. There's a lot of staging, there's a lot of acting going on in there. But you see, with people like Maria and Gary and myself, you're going to get the real world and the real deal. So now I wanted to show you guys something about booking a hotel. Now, a lot of times people say, well, what hotel are you doing this at? Well, we're doing it at the Wyndham Hotel, and it's at 6345 Powers Ferry Road in Atlanta, or it's actually closer to Marietta. But what I want to show you is a little thing that I sometimes do. Let's say that you've got a great deal on an airline ticket and you've got limited funds, and you call this hotel, which is right here. This is the hotel we're going to be doing the event at. What you can do is sort of look for a hotel that's a little further out. So you can zoom out, and I would recommend that you stay somewhere over in this area, because there's closer hotels and there's a lot of different types of hotels over in this area. See, now this is more where I live, over in this area. And by the way, that weekend, folks, I'm going to take you in the area where I invest. So you'll see a lot of my houses. You'll see where I invest, and I can really teach you about certain neighborhoods and certain areas that I've mastered and how I became to master that. So, you're just going to see a whole bunch of less expensive hotels that you could stay there and just drive to the event every morning if you have a rental car. So if you're wanting to find something closer, something a little expensive, less expensive that's closer, there's a whole bunch of hotels in this area over here. So there's been times that I've even done that. And, I've, like if I go to speak at a club in Snake Navel, Wyoming, and the event is at some hotel that's just outrageously expensive, then I'll stay at a hotel nearby and just drive to the event. But last I heard, they were charging somewhere 100, 110 a night at the hotel where we're doing the event. And I'll keep talking to them, trying to get them to come down on that. But they're so stingy. I've tried to talk them down, and they said, nope, nope, we're not doing it. That's just what it cost, But it is a very nice hotel. It really is. And so, anyway, let me see. Here's a picture of it if you would like to see it. That's the hotel where we're going to be doing the event. There's a lot of stuff in walking distance. If you just want to take an Uber to the hotel. But what we're going to do, when we're in this hotel teaching, we're going to have classroom all day Saturday. Now, Gary and Maria have a lot of information to share, so they're going to kick it off. They're going to speak probably till 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Then I'll speak for a couple of hours, and then we'll all sit in the bar or maybe even go to dinner or something. But we'll hang out there and answer questions for you. We just want to, just hang out with you guys. So, and then the next day we're going to meet here at the hotel, and we're going to go out in the field all day, and you'll learn a lot. I've taken many of you out in the field with me many a time, but just think of the added bonus of having Maria and Gary walk through, who have rehabbed or done 28 deals. That's just going to be a ton of expertise that you can gather from them. So what we're going to do, folks, is you're going to get an email like this right after this call, and I want you to open it up and read it, and I want you to click right here where it says register. And if you want to find out more, click this button. And
that button, Tony, also has the landing page it goes to, also has a link for the hotel on it, the find out more one.
Okay, that's good.
So I put that on there, so if anybody, they want to know, be able just to click for the hotel, they can do that.
Yeah. So, let's say that the event is $197. Now, folks, I know that you'd love for us to say come for free, but see, Maria and Gary have to buy airfare for themselves to come from Phoenix to Atlanta. And then they have to stay in a hotel, and they have to, be gone from their families for 3 days. So, there has to be a fee. And plus, the expertise you're gaining is probably equal to Kiyosaki or something like that, or especially those fix and flip TV shows, the Scott Yancey's. If Scott Yancey and Flipping Vegas and all these people, they always try to tell you that they'll train you, but you never get to see them. They put on these events, and then there's a bunch of strangers that teach you, and you never get to see the actual people. So Maria and Gary, they're TV stars, and they are going to be there. They're going to be the ones teaching you. And it's for $197 if you sign up by midnight tonight. So that would be your best bargain. Now, let's say it costs you $300 for an airfare ticket. That's $500. And then let's say it's a couple of $100. You could either stay 2 nights or 3 nights in a hotel, and that's going to be less than $1,000 for that kind of expertise. Now, I know that many of you on this call have gone, maybe, you've probably given Robin Thompson $2,400 and you've bought an airline ticket and flown to Orlando to get on a one of 3 buses to go out and look at properties, because her events usually have 3 busloads of people, and you pay much more money for that, but you learn less, in my opinion, when there's that many people. So this is just going to be an event that really pays off for you, and we've brought it to you at a very affordable price, and you just don't want to miss it. Now, I'm going to check the questions, but Maria and Gary, anything you want to talk about from this point on while I'm going through any questions?
Yeah, I just want to tell everybody that that Maria and I, as well as you, we are content driven. We give content. We're not there for fluff. We're there to tell you as much as we can in the amount of time that we have, and we're not there to tease and agitate. We're there to teach.
Yeah, we really want people to get valuable education so that they can walk away knowing that they have the tools that they can do that. They can look at a deal and say, well, on this one I could, negotiate with the seller to take the property subject to, or I tell people my least expensive property that I bought, and this one I did not use anyone else's money on, was $1,300, and it cash flows $700 a month. And those are the types of tricks I want people, or tips really, because it's not a trick, it's a tip really. You don't know what you don't know until you find out you didn't know it. But that's what I want people to take away, is how they can find those type of deals out there and how they can negotiate on it.
Yeah, all of our stuff is technique driven. It's easily transferable. It's not complicated. And there's one thing that Tony said to us one day when he was coming around with us and teaching us. He said, don't get caught up in the analysis of paralysis, or paralysis of analysis. And when he said that to me, that's when we really became implementers, instead of, oh, maybe we need to learn this from this person, and then before we start, we'll learn this from that person. No, you need to learn what we're teaching you and implement. Once you start implementing, the whole door opens.
That's right. That's right, because that's what holds people back, is they will analyze a property to death. It's almost like they're just looking for any excuse of something that could possibly or might go wrong, and they're looking for an excuse not to have to do the deal. As a matter of fact,
strategies that if it does go bad, you have another strategy to make money with it, and you're not left with it.
That's right.
Stuck with a house you can't get rid of.
I know it. And it's actually kind of fun doing stuff like that, when you run up to, say, you run across a hurdle and you overcome those hurdles, and it's fun. It's actually fun to do it. Now, William Hodge from Texas, he would like to know, how did you screen your investors? Well, I know that I'm going to let y'all answer it in a minute, but I know that when someone's giving me money, I don't screen them. I just say, okay, well, we'll take
cash is cash.
Yeah. But anyway, if someone's willing to put up the money for a deal, I just have a little agreement that says, look, there's risk involved. This is what I'm going to do, and this is what your role is in it is, and we both sit down and agree, and we put it on paper and sign something, and That's what we do.
Yeah, once you get started in this, you only need like two or three really good money people to make your business thrive.
Yeah, because
Doesn't take that many.
once they start making money, they want you to use them.
Where's
They
the
don't
next
want,
one? When's the
yeah,
next one? When's the next one?
yeah, that's what we hear. And how do we screen them? A good way is because we charge them a fee to use their money, and that fee is charged up front per property or per investment. That right there will get rid of anybody who's a tire kicker or on the fence or unsure or whatever. And then we talk to them and find out what is their level of risk that they're comfortable with. What type of properties do they want? Do they want the quick cash fix and flip, or do they want more long term? We have investors that are on some of our rental properties or our lease option properties with those tenants. Which is a longer period. So it's a matter of, okay, how long do they want their money tied up? So we have a conversation. I mean, it's just like when you're sitting down with the homeowner, you're having a conversation. That's kind of like how Gary and I teach. We have a conversation with you. And really, finding out, what that investor is doing. If there's sometimes I'll ask for proof of funds if it's somebody who hasn't given me my fee yet, and I'm a little unsure of them. And it's a new one, I might ask them to, show me a proof of funds if it's a self-directed IRA, that, or have something from their accountant saying that, what they have liquid. But usually we have so many investors on our properties now that that's not an issue. The only time we've ever really had an issue with something not funding was on a wholesale, and we've learned tricks around that. But as far as using other people's money, we haven't had an investor not fund any deals.
No.
Now, like I said, in the beginning, we had people giving us thousands of dollars basically in cash, and just because they wanted us to have that money up front because they wanted to make sure that they got that deal. And you'll still find people who want to do that. So, because there's a lot of people right now that, I mean, the stock market's doing okay, but a lot of people don't like the stock market. And there's a lot of money out there you'll find that's sitting there not making anything. I mean, if you have it sitting in your bank, what are you making on CDs? Like 0.5% or so? So people want their money to work.
That's right. Now, I do have a question. Greg is asking, what interest do you pay for the money? But I think you share a portion of the profit, do you? Or have you done some deals where you give a certain amount of interest to the investor, or do you?
Yeah, it varies. Now we're to the point where if it's a fix and flip, usually we'll do like an interest anywhere from 7 to 12%, depending on the risk involved. If it's a new construction or ground up, there's a little more risk and a little more time involved. We also do a lot of times on our rental properties, we take a $10,000 fee, and then usually we'll split the profits 50-50, meaning after all expenses every month.
Yeah.
We'll split those. And if it's like I said, if it's a lease option, we're splitting the option fee, the selling fee, what we're going to sell it for, and the monthly rent. So we're getting paid three ways. And if there's time, I can show people how I do that strategies, because we make a lot more money on that nowadays.
Yeah. So the lease option technique, you mean?
Yeah, selling on lease options is very profitable.
Yeah.
So, folks, that's another thing that I told you would learn that weekend is in the lease option, because I don't teach lease option, but, so that's just another technique you're going to learn that weekend. Another question is, Stacy wants to know, do you only invest in Arizona?
Actually, we are looking at Wisconsin, and we have a trip coming up to
State
College in Pennsylvania. So we're looking at Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Indiana and Ohio, because they're really good rental markets. So we go all over. I have students all over. I have students up in Washington State, and if you know anything about the Seattle area, it's a very expensive market, so you gotta get creative there. As well as I have students in Virginia.
Yeah. Okay, so folks, I'm reading through the questions. most of the questions that I'm seeing are questions that were already asked by other people. So, um, like here's one that says, when you say other people's money, do you mean private investors with money, or just, you know, that's sitting in their IRAs? I think she answered that. Yes, that is the kind of people. And
Yes.
and it says, how did you meet with investors like that?
And we can go over, I mean, a lot of it is just through networking and talking to people. My son's Little League, um, Christ, just grocery stores. I mean,
Yeah.
you got to put yourself out there. I mean, that's anybody who knows me knows I'm more of an introvert. My favorite thing to do is to honestly be at home and play with my horses. So I had to kind of break outside my shell and start talking to people. And you'll find that once you start talking to people, money flows to good deals, and it just comes. And once you get one or two investors and or one or two properties with an investor, you'll find that all these other investors will have heard about you, and they'll start coming to you. We can also go over how to put together your credibility kit during this event too, so you know what to give an investor to show them, you know, what you bring or what type of deals you look at. And that was really when we first started. We put together, I think it was a 9 or 10 page credibility. We went a little overboard because I'm too type A, but we can show you how to put together a credibility kit to hand to people and say, hey, this is, you know, who I am. This is either the properties I've done, if you've done properties, or the properties that you look for or want to do if you have not, and give examples of that. And that has really helped us in the beginning gain our investors.
Okay.
You got to network.
Yeah.
Yeah. You see, that's really good stuff, folks. Now, also, Greg wants to know, what is the fee you charge up front for? And I'm guessing it's for finding the deal.
Absolutely, exactly. And that's exactly how I explain it to an investor. I said, you know what, it's for my marketing efforts, my finding the deal, negotiating on the deal, running the job, putting all that stuff together.
You deserve to be paid for that. It's a lot of work to do a flip.
And on top of that, you're going to have to do some bookkeeping and keeping receipts and stuff as well, because you need to run it like a business, especially if you have an investor. And so it's, you know, payment for your time, because your time is valuable.
That's right. Very
And from this
valuable.
point forward, you're going to value your time.
That's right. Okay, so folks, we're basically out of time. There's one more question from Eric, and he wants to know, if I don't get a response from mail, do I stop by the house? And yes, the answer is yes. But anyway, folks, we're about out of time. So I just want you to remind you, folks, that this is going to be the event of the year. I don't think there's any other event you could attend anywhere in the nation or the world, for that matter, that is going to be as powerful as this event. You've known me for years, and you know I don't play around. I just cut straight to the facts, and I tell the truth, and I give you good stuff, good usable stuff. I'm very approachable, and so is Maria and Gary. And the three of us are going to do this event because, you know, I've been training people for 20 years, and I see some that are very successful and some that are not so successful. So I'm always constantly trying to find, what can I do to make everybody successful? So that's why I want to do this event, because there's someone who is successful in the hidden market, and then, you know, it's showing how they took a system and turned it into a very successful business, and you'll learn from that. And so maybe you'll learn the missing ingredient that has held you back And that's why, on my regular coaching calls, I'm constantly trying to teach you how to get over your excuses, how to get over your fear, how to, I just want everybody to win. And so this is I very strongly recommend this event. So what I want you to do is you're going to get an email in the next 10 minutes that looks like this. It'll say, here's a special treat. And it's going to start out with this picture. And I want you to scroll down, read about it, and then click register now. And go ahead and get signed up for this event. And then, over the next few days, work on, or tomorrow, you should start working on airfare and look for those bargains because there's so many flights. You're bound to find the perfect flight that fits your budget, and it's just going to be, you'll get back 100-fold what you invest in this seminar. Okay, so do you have any closing words, Maria and Gary?
No, I definitely recommend anybody who has excuses or afraid to get started or how they're going to fund their deals to definitely be here, because we're going to go really, really deep into that. And I'm going to be sharing with everybody, and Gary as well, my fears and what initially held me back and how I overcame that, and how, they can get rid of their excuses and their worries, and how we can help them take it to the next level like we did.
Yeah, I want people to go away from this event saying, I can't believe how much they taught us in such a short amount of time.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us, Maria and Gary. I know you've got 5 lovely children that you need to be. They're probably going, where's mommy? And so anyway, thank you for taking time to be on this call tonight and sharing some inspiration and strength and hope. And folks, you just got to come out and meet these guys in person. I was just out in Phoenix 2 weeks ago. They took me to a very nice restaurant, and we had a blast. And I can see the benefit of having dinner with Gary and Maria, and perhaps we'll do that at this event every night. Okay. All right, guys. Good night, everyone. Look out for that email, and we'll see you at the event. Good night.